Corporate achievers turn their dreams into playing clients into solid business. No blood, sweat, or tears required. Maybe some tears. I love the advocacy, Miss Lydia. I love it. And not that, Miss Lydia Axe.
And
Welcome,
I
welcome.
know. Yeah, glad to be
Yes.
here.
Welcome, welcome, Miss Lydia on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
No, you got it. Look, I started as a corporate, had a great career, 15 years, became a director at one of the big four firms. But then I'm like, kind of didn't feel right to continue, and I wanted more. I wanted something else. Right. So I moved into the wild, wild west of
Mm.
entrepreneurship. That was 12 years ago. And I've been doing it ever since through different capacities, pivots, niches. I got my coaching degree about 8 years ago. So, and, still standing.
Yes,
And
outstanding. We
yeah, and I
love
and
that.
I want to help more people to do the same because the transition from corporate to solo, from corporate to online entrepreneurship is not an easy one. It's not an
Yes.
easy one.
Not an easy one. That's why you need an applause for doing that, for sharing to the world. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom, Miss Lydia. So today let's talk about, can you actually build a six-figure coaching business without going viral, dancing on reels, or being everywhere? So let's start by the challenging and the assumption. Why has being everywhere and going viral become the default blueprint for building a coaching business in the first place?
Yeah, I, I, I I don't know. I think we all, maybe it's the way we raised, all these Disney stories and that all these Superman kind of
Yes.
comics thing. We see this superpower, or we see this overnight success. The fairy godmother comes and she waves the magic wand, and there you go you know
Voila.
um so I think we in our mind, we have this big lie. It also happens, look, when you read a story of success and we see people like, I don't know, Alex Hormozy, or we see people like, you name it, Ali Abdal, like big people with this big success, whatever they have, either huge following or, they have big businesses. And I'm talking solo businesses, right? I'm not talking
Mm-hmm.
about the Elon Musks of this world, but people with,
Elon Musk.
online
Yeah.
business. And we still, um, it's kind of our head plays trick with us that like they had nothing and now they have this huge thing. And what we, our mind don't realize that there has been like 10 years or 12 years in between, and that
Mhm.
in between has not been the overnight success, is not a magic pill, is not this one viral post, that's post or TikTok or reel that suddenly made them famous, popular, or rich. That's not it at all. What
Yes.
what made them a success, whatever success we mean, is daily boring, often very boring, daily consistent focused action, right? Remember, you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that without being everywhere. Actually, being everywhere is totally wrong. You actually need to be in one place, and you need to be there consistently, and you need to be mastering that platform, that format, that audience, that message. You need to be working on it every day, tweaking and changing and posting and getting feedback and improving. And that's very boring, and that's
Yes.
very hard task to do for a long time without seeing the result. But that's what ultimately is gonna help you build your 6 figure, 7 figure business.
Definitely, it's consistency, people. Hard work plus faith, mindset. My goodness. Thank you so much for empowering answer, Ms. Lydia. You advocate for more deliberate, low volume, high trust model. What is the core client outcome or experience that is approach project that growth at all costs model might sacrifice?
Um, Ask that question again.
Yeah, definitely. So you advocate for a deliberate, low volume, high trust model. What's the core client outcome or experience that this approach protects the growth at all costs that model might sacrifice?
Right. Well, what I always advocate for is, people buy from people, right? I mean,
Yes.
it's like a cliche. We all know this, right? but
Mm-hmm.
in but still we keep posting, like we posting into void, posting. And when we post, because there's so much noise out there, and because there is so much AI, people, we have a trust recession, we have a trustworthiness crisis, right? So what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, instead of, or um, I'm not saying you shouldn't be posting, but what I'm saying, if you want to grow your business as a coach, as an advisor, as a consultant, like as a service provider, what you need to start building close relationship. You need to build trust. And the best way to do this is through one-on-one interactions, through connections. And that what I advocate for, right? What you
Yes.
mentioned. So it seems like non-scalable, but that's what you should start with. Like, people are afraid, oh, if I do this, it's not scalable, but that's okay. In the beginning, you should go for unscalable, but very intimate, very close, and building trust, because only trust will bring you result, will bring you sale. People buy again from people they know, like and trust, right? So starting
Yes.
conversations one on one, it can start in the comments. The best way or the easiest way, start with people you know. They might not be your ideal clients, but they have their own network. And in their network, possibly, probably, there are people who your potential clients. So start with your phone book, right? Your WhatsApp list, your phone list, your social media list. Contact those people and ask if they can connect you to this particular person. That's why it's very important to know who this person is. And that's how you start. Again, already mentioned Alex Ramosi, that's what he says: find your first five, right? Instead of posting into the void things that you don't know how they're going to land, who's going to see them because of the algorithm, instead of letting it kind of play in the casino pretty much, and we know casino always wins, right? Instead,
Yes.
take it into your hand and start with your close network. Now, when people say, well, I don't have a network, that's fine. Then go to that social media network of yours and start connecting with people in the comments. And once you connect with them, you're no longer the stranger they never heard about. Then go into the direct messages, private messaging, and then start the conversation, and then ask for referral. That's the fastest way to get your first clients, and from first clients, it goes on and on and
Hmm. Yes, and indeed. So, Miss Lydia, many coaches struggle with feeling behind or invisible if they are not constantly posting. How do you refrain visibility to make strategic quiet for work feel more powerful than chaotic noise?
on. Right. Yeah, I think the biggest misconception that coaches, again, consultants, service providers have, they compare themselves to the content creators. And
Yes.
content creators model is very different from the service provider model. So the strategy that I just gave, this is the best strategy for service provider, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
content creators is completely different model. They are there creating content, various platforms, various formats. They perfect their craft. For the service providers, the coaches, consultants of the world, they need to focus on the middle of the funnel. There is a top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, right? They need to focus on a longer form content, the middle of the funnel, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that when they connect with someone new, then they can, well, by the way, I have that podcast on this topic, or I have that newsletter on this topic, or I have this PDF, and then they can share and show right away the expertise. Now, you said there is a problem that people, coaches see they're invisible. Well, they should do what I'm doing right now. They should get on other people's platforms, on podcasts, um, guest posting. They should go and sponsor some newsletters. So they need to jump, because some people already built their audiences on various platforms. Well, they need to go out and find those people and introduce themselves instead of spending months and, I don't know, maybe years building their own audience, which takes a lot of time.
Hmm. Yes. Like probably it will last forever if you do that for sure. Let's talk about the strategy and mechanics, Miss Lydia. The how. If not a viral reels, what is the single most effective engine for attracting the right clients in the model?
Right. Well, I guess it's being clear. It's
Mm,
being clear who you're attracting. So, like I gave you the mechanics, right? You can contact your network and ask the introduction, and then you can go ahead and jump on any social media and find those people. But before you can do this, you need to be crystal clear who these people are, right? And it
yeah.
cannot be like women over 40. Like, that's that's everybody and nobody, right? So you need to be very specific. As parents of teens going through the high school and struggling with anxiety, or so being very specific about not just the demographic but also psychographics, and also about what is a specific problem these people are facing. For example, my ideal client is either someone who is still in corporate, pretty high up, kind of middle management, and internally they made the decision. They know they don't want to stay, they want to move out. They probably got already some sort of a coaching certification or nutritionist certification or NLP certification, so they already got that, but they are still kind of in the standby mode and they need help. The problem they're facing is uncertainty. They don't know what are the right steps to build the business, and when to move this transition and how to make this transition out of corporate into the becoming a business person world. So when I ask my friends or I ask someone like Daniel, hey Daniel, do you know
Mm-hmm.
someone like that? And then I describe very specifically who this person is, right? You can say, oh yeah, I know someone, or you like, I don't, but when that person, you know, comes my way, obviously I will quickly visualize, right? I know, oh, you need to talk to Lydia. So that is key for them to know who is the person you're trying to help with this specific problem so that you can tell it to everyone in your environment and they can send them your way.
Definitely. So this approach seems to reject the attract a crowd funnel. How does your client journey look like instead from first encounter to successful transformation, Miss Lydia?
Um, Ask that question again so I understand better.
Yeah, so this approach seems to reject the attract a crowd funnel. So how does your client journey look like instead from the first encounter to successful transformation itself?
Right, right. Well, I think I always recommend my clients to start with some sort of introductory offer. Again, we live in a world where there is a lot of options, and it's crowded and there is a low trust. So what I love to introduce and what I tell my clients to introduce is the introductory offer. So some sort of way where you can work on some. For me, it is usually a strategy session where we get together, we create that plan. Not only they go away with a very concrete, with a very specific thing, but also they get a feel how it feels to work with me, what I'm like, what is the energy, do we have the alignment, and then if that works, if that connection happens, then the various routes that I introduce. For example, they can join my community. You have it up on the screen, so they can join my community, which is the Magic Activation Zone, or they can work with me one on one, where I help them. So now we build the plan, then I help them implement that plan. So I think, I don't like the marketing tools where like the people create the deadlines and artificial scarcity and, push people into decisions. I don't think I don't like that. Let me put it
Mhm.
that way. What I like to introduce, say, hey, let's go slowly. Like, I always compare, when you first meet a client, think about the dating, right? It's like dating. You met someone, you just first invite them for coffee, or then you invite them, for a dinner, and then, so there has to be some sort of a introductory, I call it the introductory offer, and then only once you feel like you're a good match, they like it, then they can kind of go more in and invest more. And investment is not just money. We think investment is just money, but it's not. It's also time is our most valuable resource. So people need to feel comfortable that they invest the energy, the time, and money um, into someone in terms of the coach, consultant that can help them achieve result.
Miss Lydia, as an entrepreneur, what are your short term and long term goals?
My
Yeah, please.
Sure, no, of course. Well, I am building, a community. I would love to have in my community. 100 people. I have 35. I'm super, super excited. So I guess my short term is get to 100 people. And I don't want a lot of people, but I think, I see a lot of interaction and people supporting each other. I believe communities are, um, one of the best ways for solopreneurs, because there's so many things we have to struggle on our own. So community is one of the best ways. So my short-term goal is to, grow my community to 100 people, to bring it to 10K per month. And for the long-term goals, I don't know. I love speaking, so it might be speaking on the stages. Definitely thinking about the book, writing a book. I did write one a few years ago. So, yeah, um, I think that's it.
Good luck to your goals, Miss Lydia, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
Find your tribe, find your crowds. Like, I'm building this community again. I've been doing this for the last 12 years. What I realized that it is impossible. Like, it is impossible to do it by yourself. When I see people who are successful, again, we look at them and we think they're kind of solo, uh, lonely wolves. They're not. There is invisible tribe, invisible network that is behind them. And if you listen carefully to their podcasts, their interviews, you will see that they were part of some groups, some masterminds, some communities. They had coaches, they had mentors, they had accountability bodies, they had support, right? I've been discussing it with people in my space, and everybody's saying maybe we should get rid of the word solopreneur because it's a little bit misleading. Nobody can do this solo. So my one piece of advice: find your tribe, find your community, have an accountability buddy, find a coach, a mentor, a group, a mastermind, or all of the above. To be honest, without this, it's absolutely impossible to achieve success.
Hmm. Well, thank you for that advice, Miss Lydia. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Yeah. I was preparing for this question. I'm like, oh my God, I've read so many books. Which one? Which one do I
Good.
choose? Okay, so I probably name two, and they're all kind of in the same vein. One is it's called the One Thing. The book is called The One Thing, and it is the book that basically talks about how is important, how focus is important, right? it's
Mhm.
it's 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 pretty practical book, but it gives you the perspective and the practical tools, so it's kind of both, and helps you to understand focus how much focus is important. If you want to achieve something extraordinary, if you want to build a business to 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, I mean, you must follow that advice. You have to always focus: the focus for the day, the focus for the week, the focus for the month, the focus for the year. And you have to keep it one, which is totally, which is very difficult, right? And,
Mhm.
it's not balance, right? What I loved from that book, what I kind of my second biggest learning from that book: balance does not exist, right? What exists is balancing act. So
Mhm.
we need to keep the balance. We cannot just focus on the business 24/7 and forget about health, relationship, eating, sleeping. No, we can't, right? So we have to keep that in mind, and we have to balance it out, but it doesn't happen statically, right? It's a balancing act. It's like the juggling, when you kind of you only can hold one, ball at a time, but it's focusing on one thing that is in front of you, but not forgetting about all other areas. So it's a little bit more complicated than kind of the simple idea of balancing every day. It's impossible to achieve balance in every day, but over time, you must think about all areas of our life. And the second book I quickly mentioned is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Is the famous book, and I think it's a little bit about the same, but it's basically that we have to stop worrying about things that are not important. Again, it's about living on this earth. We're here for a short period of time. It's more philosophical, less practical book versus the first one. But I think it reminds me that we're here for a short period of time, right? And we have to always come back to this point that we're here for a short period of time. So, what's important for me? What's important for me to do today? So, they kind of work two and two together. We have to let go what other people think of us. We have to let go what um, what who what when. We don't care. We have to focus on what's important for us and what we want to bring to this world, how we want to make this world better, and how we want to make the most of us being here.
Mm. The most for sure. So, Miss Lydia, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My Food 101, and of course, my Book 101 review, Abstract Essay, are in a sixth season, available wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Lydia, for the coach listening who feels burned out just thinking about having a dance on camera, what is the first small, confident step they can take this week to pivot towards more sustainable six-figure path?
Oh, um, what can they do? Well, I think get connected to a vision, get connected to values, take a long walk, detach
Mm-hmm.
from your screens, detach from your devices, okay?
Yes.
Again, stop worrying about what other people doing, what other people thinking. Connect to your inner mission, inner vision, values, and think about like what would make today great, and just go and do that. Just one thing, just one thing.
Mm, just one thing, people. Don't care what people say about you. Go, go, go. Just stop procrastinating and do something that you love and share to the world, just like Miss Lydia. So, Miss Lydia, can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah, of course. Well, I think the best is now my community that I'm building on school, which is AZON, Magic Activation Zone. So if you search for it, Magic Activation Zone, there is 7-day free trial. Find it out, join, hang around to see, and if you like it, stay. And that's what we do there. We support each other, we focus on the most important thing, and we're very raw and honest there. So it's not overnight success and all the reels and stories. Is the real thing. Everybody's sharing that and supporting each other. So come in, check it out, try it out, and stay if you like it.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Lydia Axe because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy like this to rise. So, Miss Leah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
More to come, people. See you soon.